Yeah, good morning and welcome all of you for operating system tutorial course. Hope all of you able to hear my voice. A very good morning. I didn't get any responses. Am I audible? I'm not getting any response. Is my voice audible? Okay, thank you for giving the response. So let us proceed. In this tutorial, I will be starting sheet 1. Sheet 1 is about the introduction of operating system. Here you can see about introduction of operating system, okay, and multi-programming and deadlocks, okay. These three topics are covered in this sheet. These are the three important topics, okay. And you can see in your Blackboard account. Please go to lectures folder. Okay, in that folder you will find sheets and material. Okay, inside that content you can see that this sheet 1 is uploaded in your Blackboard. So I request all of you to download that file and keep this file open in your laptop. Okay, so I'm giving you 1 minute of time. Please do that. Okay, that's great. Good. So now I want you to open that sheet and be ready so that while discussing, I mean the sheet back. So you have to refer to this sheet in your laptop, okay? Because I have to switch the screen multiple times. It will not be good that every time I go to the sheet and come back. So it is better you open this sheet with you, and whenever I'm referencing it, you have to see that sheet at that place, okay? So let us start to solve first problem number 1. Draw the process state transition diagram for draw the process state transition diagram for following and explain each state briefly. So he is asking two questions: system state transition diagram for a system without programming, and a state transition diagram for system with multi-programming. So we have to draw the state transition diagram. This is the state transition diagram for a process. Okay. In the first lecture, in the first lecture, I have already discussed with you the introduction of operating system, what is operating system and all. Okay. So in this, I will be first discussing what is process. Okay. And we will draw the state transition diagram for these two cases: system with multi-programming and system without multi-programming. Okay, so let us solve this problem, that is state transition diagram. So hope all of you able to see my screen. Yes, so here I will be solving first solution. Yeah, so solution number 1. Now, before I go for case A and case B, a system with multi-programming and a system without multi-programming, then you need to understand first what is a process, first of all. Okay, so let me give you the definition of a process. Okay, what is process? I'll use the color for this. Process. A process is nothing but a program under execution. A program under So I request all of you that this definition, the notes, what I'm going to give you, please you note down in your notes. Okay, make sure that you are taking notes simultaneously. Okay, so it will be very helpful for you this case. So what is a program? A program is a process. A process is a program under execution. This is the definition of a process. So I want all of you to remember this definition. Okay, process is a program under execution, or you can say a program in execution. Okay, and the process execution must progress in sequential fashion, one after the other. Now here most of the students will get confusion about that if process is a program under execution, then what is a program? Okay, so in order to solve this, let me, yeah, then what is a process? Just I refer it this process with, generally we'll refer process with a circle. Okay, this process P. So this is process, a program, a process is nothing but a program under execution, or the another definition is program in execution. A program in execution. Then the question arises, what do you mean by a program? Okay, so I'll write this program definition. So program is nothing but it is a set of instructions. Okay, stored in hard disk. Now see here, you have a secondary storage. This is your hard disk. Okay, this is your hard disk. This is program 1, for example, program1.c. This is program. This set of instruction, if it is there in the hard disk, then it is called a program. But you know, in order to execute this, you have a RAM here. This is main memory. Okay, this is your main memory. Now, if this program is loaded into the memory, okay, then this program will become a process. This program will become a process. A program, when it is loaded into the main memory, or when it is loaded into the memory, then it will become a process. Okay, now generally you see in your computer, you have a lot of programs. My computer is a program. Okay, and you have many icons on your desktops. All these are the programs. Okay, but when you click on them, when you double click on them, it opens. So what is happening when you click, then the program which is there in the hard disk, the operating system is going and bringing, loading that program from hard disk into the main memory, and you will see that window is open. It means the program has been loaded into the memory and it has become a process, and the process is now executed. Okay, executing. So process is nothing but it is taking resources. Okay, it is occupying resources. So I will just put this line so that I will the other side of the board. Yeah. So it means that a process is holding resources. Okay, what are the resources? Example, you see it's holding memory, but program, you see when this program is in hard disk, it is not holding memory, right? It is in hard disk, it is in storage. But when it becomes a process, it is holding some resources. For example, you see it is taking this part of the memory. Okay, so if a process is holding any resources, okay, this is also holding any resources, then it is process, and it holds a resource only when it is loaded into the main memory. Okay, so main memory is not only the resource, there are many other resources which is given to this process. The other resources, examples of other resources are, they will be given some stack, okay, heap, these are all memory. Okay, it has some code section, and it has some data section. All this will be, given. So now, by this time I think you might have understood what is a process. Okay, so I repeat, what is a process? A process is nothing but it is a program in execution. Okay, and program is a passive entity which is stored on hard disk, like executable file, exe files and all. But process is active because it is holding the memory. Okay, so up to here, do any one of you have any doubt? Please ask me. Do all of you understood? Any doubt?
Again, Doctor, please.
Yeah, a process is nothing but a program which is holding some resources in main memory. Okay, that is a program under execution is called a process. Understood this? Is it clear? Program means it is present in main memory, not on hard disk. Okay. Okay, I think you have not understood. Look here.
Process, just process.
Yeah,
Mistake.
you see, I will show you the difference. You have a program and you have a process. Okay, what is the difference? Program is set of instructions in hard disk. Set of instructions stored in hard disk. Okay, you see, this is your hard disk, and you have some program.exe which is there in the hard disk. Understood? Program is, it is set of instruction which is stored in hard disk. Now process means if you load this program into main memory. Okay, you have this main memory. Okay, this is your memory, and if you load this, like here I have shown, if you load this program into main memory, okay, then this program will become a process if this is loaded. That is a
It's
program loaded. Yeah,
meaning process the move.
yeah, process means the program which is stored in hard disk, it has been moved to main memory. Okay, then we will not call it as a program, we will call it as a process. A process, a program, I'll just write here, just erase this. A program, if it is loaded in main memory, then it is called as a process. So I write here mm, a program loaded in main memory, then it is called process. Okay, understood all of you? Understood?
Clear, clear.
Yeah, it is clear. Very good. Now you see, okay, good and great. So I'm asking one question. You see at the side, you will find some polling. Okay, so I have given one multiple choice question. Um, what is stored in? Okay, do you see the question? Please, all of you, give me the answer. What is stored in main memory? So I got only two
Process.
responses. Yeah, don't say the answer. I want all to give the answer so that I'll check. So still I'm waiting for four more students, three more students. Yeah, give the answer. What is stored in main memory? Still three students, they have not given answer. Great. Still two students has to give the answer. Okay, the correct answer is process. Okay, what is stored in main memory? Process. Okay, now please give me this answer and please don't say the answer. Okay, just give the response. I've given next question. What is stored in hard disk? Yeah, please give the answer fast so that we can proceed. Good, great. I'm seeing that all of you are giving the right answers. That's great. Yeah, I'm expecting answer from Usar. Yeah, what is stored in hard disk? The correct answer is program. That's great. Okay, now let's go to the actual solution. This is only tahmeed, the introduction of for solving our first problem. Uh, let's I'll just save this slide and I'll go for new slide. Yeah. So here I will write first solution continued. Okay. Now state transition diagram. He is asking us to draw the state transition diagram for process. Okay, state transition diagram. for process. So case A, first, system without multi-programming. System without system without multi-programming. Okay. Now, what is the difference between multi-programming and not multi-programming? Remember, multi-programming of multi-programming is please note down this definition. It is the ability of an operating system it is an ability of an operating system to load multiple processes in main memory. In main memory. Now I will give you an example. Suppose you have main memory. Okay, you have this memory, main memory. Now, if the operating system has the ability to load only one process, suppose there are three processes for execution: process P1, process P2, and process P3. Okay, but one process is executing. The operating system is not allowing other processes to execute. Why? Because it has no ability to execute multiple processes in main memory. What this operating system is doing, first complete this process P1. Okay, when process P1 finish, then it will bring process P2 and first complete for process P2. After process P2 is finished, then take process P3. Okay, it means it is sequentially taking processes in main memory at a time. Only one process is in main memory. Okay, at a time only one process in main memory, then it is called as, please remember this, it is called as uniprogramming. Okay, uniprogramming. Okay, now if I will give you an example too. Okay, in example 2, suppose you are having main memory and suppose you want to execute three processes: process P1, process P2, and process P3. Now the operating system has the ability to simultaneously load multiple processes in main memory. You see, three processes are there at a time. This is called multi-programming. Okay, at a time, multiple processes resides in main memory. Okay, is it clear, all of you? Is the point clear? Okay,
Clear,
that's,
but I have a question.
yeah, please ask the question.
In definition for multiple program,
Yeah,
the line 3, what's the first word?
line 3,
Line 3.
this one.
No, up.
one to this load multiple processes in main memory.
You again, Doctor?
Yeah, it is an ability of an operating system to load multiple processes in main memory. Okay, I
Okay,
repeat, it is an ability of an operating system to load multiple processes in main memory.
okay,
Okay,
clear.
okay. Okay. Uh, Please give me the answer. I'll, I have posted one question. Yes or no? Multiprogramming is the ability to load one process in main memory. Yes or no? Please give me the answer. Very good, Ahmad Tami. Yes. So I got two responses. Great. Good. Great. Yeah. So the correct answer is no. The correct answer is no. Yeah. Multiprogramming is the ability to load one process in main memory. No, this is called uniprogramming. Okay. Multiprogramming is multiple process in main memory. Okay. That's great. So now after having understand this, now let's go to our system without multiprogramming. Means case A means only one process will be there in the main memory. Uniprogramming or no multiprogramming, both are same. Without multiprogramming means what? That is, it is uniprogramming. Uni. Okay. Now, when a process is just loaded into main memory, okay, when a process is just loaded into main memory, we call it as new. This is the process, and we call it as new. Just now, the process got created. Okay. So then after this, in when the process is in new state, what it is copying all the instructions, data from hard disk to main memory. When it is all done, completed, then it is waiting for CPU to execute. So it means a process is ready to run, but the CPU has not been given to it. Okay, this situation is called, or this state is called ready state. Okay, so then next you have another state called ready. This is ready. Okay, then process, there is a transition from new to ready using a transition called admitted. Okay, so I will write this in other color. Admitted. A D M I T T E D. Added. Okay, then there is a queue that many processes are waiting for CPU to run, and they are waiting in a ready queue. Now when the chance is given for this process to run on CPU, then it will be in a running state. Okay, it will be in a running state. RUNNING, running state. Okay, so the transition from uh, ready to running is called as dispatch. You should remember all these terminology. Okay, this is called dispatch. Okay, now suppose the program is asking some input from the user. Okay, give me two numbers or enter the name of the file, something. So it means while running, if a process is asking for some IO or some input, then it will go to another state, the third state. It is called waiting. Okay, so you will have third state called waiting. State waiting. Okay, so the transition from running to waiting, it will come when a process is waiting for an IP, waiting for an IO. Okay, so it means wait for some IO, or it is waiting for some event to occur. For example, the program is executing some sleep instruction, so it will sleep for 10 seconds like that, or 10 milliseconds like that. So wait for IO or wait for some event. Wait for event. Now, so after waiting, for example, the program is running and you are asking to enter the number and you have given number. After given number, tell me, from waiting it will not go directly to running, okay? Because the CPU is busy in running other processes. So again, to come in queue, okay? So from waiting it will go to ready. From waiting it will go to ready. Then what is the transition name? See, either it is waiting for some IO. It means this is IO completion. So maybe IO is completed. IO completion. Or it is also called as it was waiting for event to occur, or that event elapses. Okay. Event elapses. Okay, after that again it will go to ready, and when it gets the CPU to execute, then it will be running, means it is holding the CPU is executing this process. After it has finished, okay, it will go into its state. This is called exit, khuruj, akhir, right? Will go out. This is called exit, and name of this transition is terminated. Terminated. Okay. Now, do all of you, is it clear to you? All of you, is it clear? So now I'm asking you one question. Is it possible for a process to go from new to ready? Is it possible to go from new to ready? Yes. How? With the help of using admission. Is it possible to go from new to waiting? No, directly, because you see there is no arrow like this. Can you go from ready to running? Yes. What is the name of the transition? Dispatch. Okay. Can you go from running to waiting? Yes. What is the name of the event? Wait for IO or wait for event. Okay. Can you go for from waiting to exit? No. Why? Because there is no direct arrow. Okay. So can you go from waiting to ready? Yes, you can. Can you go from waiting to running? Okay. So now I'm asking you, I will just ask you one more question. Okay. In this diagram, is it possible? Yeah, let me just type the question. Multiple choice. Yes, all these we are talking about only uni-programming. Okay. Next case B we will take for multi-programming. Okay. So all this about uni-programming only. Okay. So in uni-programming, can a process transit from yeah, please give me the answer. So you got the question? In uni-programming, can a process transit from waiting to running state? Now see the diagram. Can you go from waiting to running state? Yeah. So the correct answer is no. Okay. Because you see, you cannot go from running to you cannot go from waiting to running. Okay, you cannot go. Okay. I'll ask you another question. Can a process transit from so give me the answer for this. Can a process transit from running to ready state? Yeah, here also you will see that there is good. The correct answer is again no, because you will not see any transition from running to ready. Okay, so that's great. So now let's go for case B, system without multi-programming. Okay, so I will save this. So let's go for case B. So, okay. Now we will discuss case B. Just let me erase because again drawing will take a lot of time. So I copied and I will just show you the difference. That's all. Okay. Now I will go for case B, system with multi-programming. Okay. System with multi-programming. So no, need of this. So this is the benefit with computer, right? In Blackboard, we need to draw multiple times. Yeah. So now it is same system with multi-programming and system with multi-programming. Okay, the diagram is same, but only you will have one extra transition. Okay, what is the extra transition? The extra transition I am showing you in blue color. Okay, the extra transition is from running to ready. You have a transition. This is called interrupt. I think in theory it will be discussed what is interrupt. Okay, so summarily I'll just give you that in multi-programming what happens is in main memory you have multiple programs. Okay, program P1, program P2, program P3, many programs are running, processes are running in memory. Suppose CPU is executing process P1. Okay, while executing, if process P2 is in emergency, okay, and it want to execute first, so what happens is it will stop it and CPU will jump here and it will execute process P2. After process P2 is finished, again it will go back and complete process P1 and then it goes to process P3. Means it is possible for you to jump from one process to another process. Okay, this is called interrupt. With the help of interrupt, it does context switching and changes the processes execution. Okay, so the good example is you see in your laptop or in your mobile phone you can open multiple things. You can do calling, you can do messaging, you can open some website, 3-4 applications you are opening, correct? At a time CPU is executing only one, but executing at a time is only one process. Multi-programming means all are there in main memory. You can switch from one process to another process. But whereas in uni-programming, you cannot switch from one process to another process. Okay, so the main difference, note down here. Okay, switching between processes is possible in multi-programming. Okay, switching between processes is possible in multi-programming. So understood all of you? You have any questions up to here?
Clear, Doctor, but switching after that, what is?
Let me write clearly. Switching between processes. 1 minute. Switching between processes is possible in multi-programming. I write again. So switching between processes is possible in multi-programming. Switching between processes within the main memory is possible in multi-programming. Whereas in uni-programming, only one process is there in the main memory. You cannot switch. Okay, so either you have to finish this or kill that process and give another process a chance. So hope you have understood, all of you. Yeah. Question number A and question number B we have just finished. So just let's show you our sheet that we finished first solution. So we have finished this first problem. Okay, let's go for second problem. Yes, any question?
Doctor, can you back just 1 minute because right.
Yeah, sure. So we'll go back again to your window. Yeah, please take. Okay.
Okay, finish.
Okay, great. So I'll just save this with a new name. Okay. So let's go back to our sheet. So we have finished this first problem and we have seen two cases with multi-programming, without multi-programming, and with multi-programming. Okay. Now we will see second problem, that a CPU scheduling algorithm determines an order of the execution of its scheduled processes. Given n processes to be scheduled on one processor, how many possible different schedules are there? Give a formula in terms of n. Okay, and also has given an example that if you are using 5 different processes, then how many possible schedules are there? We have to find out. Okay, so I hope all of you have the sheet with you open. Okay, so I'm going to solve this problem now. So what is given here? The given is number of processes are n, but number of processor is nothing but CPU. Okay, CPU is only one. So second solution. Second solution. Okay. Let us see what is the given data. Given is one processor. What do you mean by one processor? There is one CPU to execute. Okay, but how many processes are there? N number of processes are there for execution. Now we know that suppose this is CPU, okay, CPU, and only one CPU is given, and there are multiple processes, process P1, process P2, process P3, so on, process Pn. There are n number of processes. So at a time, only one process can be executing, correct? After because once CPU there may be multiple processes in main memory, no problem, but on CPU only one process can execute. Okay, this is very clear. Like you have a tongue, you have only one tongue. With one tongue, can you tell 2 words? Yes, you can say 2 words, but two different time. But at same time, you can say only one word. So similarly, with CPU, you can execute two or more than two processes, not possible. But at a time, only one process can be executed. Okay, do you able to see my screen? Yes? Yeah. I think I have to share this. Now is it visible? Is it visible? Is the screen?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Okay, that's great. So now, so just remember that at a time only one process can execute on one CPU. Okay, so just note down that at a time only one process can execute in CPU. Okay, so now we need to find out the possible schedules. Okay, so how do you find out possible schedules? You see, for example, I'm just drawing a table. Uh, if you have yeah, so the table is number of processes and number of schedules possible. Suppose you have only one process P1. Okay, you can arrange them in only one order. Okay, suppose if you have two processes P1 and P2. Okay, then you can arrange first P1. Okay, uh, sorry, let me. So the possible schedules are okay. So connect this and make it, yeah. So if you have two processes, then first way you can execute is P1, P2, or second way you can execute P2, P1. Okay, so you get two possible schedules. Suppose you have three processes: process P1, process P2, and process P3. So in this case, you can execute P1, P2, P3, or you can execute P1, P3, P2, or you can execute P2, P3, P1, or you can execute P2, P1, P3, or you can execute P3, P1, P2, or you can execute P3, P2, P1. Okay, so total how many possibilities? Yeah, six possibilities. Now, similarly, if you have four processes P1, P2, P3, P4, how you will solve? So now we have to find out some relation. Okay, how do you find out the relation? The relation is, you see the number of processes here n. Okay, so here n is equal to 1. Here n is equal to 1. So you get answer as number of possible schedules is also 1. So I think I got some questions. Let me check. Yeah, some of you are giving the answer 2 power n. Let us see whether it's 2 power n or something else. Okay, that's a good try. Now let's see here now. Good try. I appreciate your thought. So now look here. You have n is equal to 2, for example. If n is equal to 2, then you have how many? Two schedules, correct? But if you say n power 2, then it should be 4, but you have got only 2. So we concluded that it is not n power 2 power n, because 2 power n is 4 here, but you got only two schedules. So there is something different here. Let us see Here n is equal to 3 and you have got all schedules as 6. So very good. 2 power n, okay? No. So 2 power n minus 1. This is also not correct, because you see, if you, for n is equal to 2, how much? 2 per n minus 1. Here in this case, you will get 3, but you have only 2 schedules. Only 2 schedules. So that's a good try. So now let us think now. Okay. So let me write this with another color. See, when n is equal to 1, I think in mathematics you have learned about permutations and combinations. Okay. There, if you write n is equal to 1 here, okay, so I will write 1 factorial, and if n is equal to 2, I will write 2 factorial. If n is equal to 3, I will write it as 3 factorial, correct? So on. If it is become n, then the answer is n factorial. Now you see, 1 factorial is 1, 2 factorial is 2, 3 factorial is 6. You see, you got correct. 1, 2, 6. And if n is equal to 4, okay, this is the value of n. If n is equal to 4, then 4 factorial is the answer for that. Okay, so I just save it, and new, then second solution continued. So here I write that, therefore we observe that, okay, for n number of processes and one processor, the possible number of schedules are given by the formula n factorial. Okay, so in example he has given that 5 processes. 5 processes means n is equal to 5. So therefore total schedules is 5 factorial. So how do you find out 5 factorial? 5 into 4 into 3 into 2 into 1. So this is equivalent to how much? 5 4 are 26, 120. So total number of possible schedules are 120. Okay. So now we will use our mathematics in knowledge for solving this kind of problems. Okay. So no need to give proof, like previously I have given you the proof for n factorial. Now directly we will apply the formula for third solution. Okay. So let's see, we have now third solution. Let us go back and see. So all of you got, it is not 2 per and not 2 per n minus 1 also. It is n factorial actually. Okay, is this clear, all of you? Okay, that's great. So now let us see in problem number 3, what is asked?
Doctor, all of things it's clear, but how you know the process maybe two, so the scholar two ways. How now this one?
No, this is by common sense. If you have, you see, if you have one car, okay, right? So how the one person can sit? Only one person can sit directly in one car. This is one. If you have two-person, then first you enter, second your friend, or first your friend, then you go. This is two ways, correct? Suppose if you have three persons, how do you go? The different permutations and combinations you have to take. Similarly, CPU can execute only one process at a time. If you have one process, then there is no schedule. One process go directly to one processor and it will execute, no problem. Okay. If you have two processes, for example, if you have two processes, process P1 and P2, then you can execute either first P1, then P2, or you can execute first P2, then P1. Okay, so there are only two possible. You don't have any third situation. Okay, for example, if you have three processes, I will like process P1, P2, P3 are there. So tell me how many combinations. First you give process P1, then process P2 will go, then process P3. This is one schedule. Or you can go first P1, or then next you give P3, and then next you give P2, or all the 6 combinations. Correct?
Yes, yes, clear.
Yeah. So
Thank
this
you.
is we get by common sense. That's our analysis, understanding. Okay. Yeah. So we just finished this first problem and second problem also. Okay. So we solved it for 5. The answer was given as with 5 processes, it is 120 schedules. Okay, we solved it. Now let us solve third problem. Okay, now third problem is very simple. Here he has given n number of processes. Okay, a CPU scheduling algorithm determines an order for the execution of its scheduled processes. Given n processes to be scheduled on multiple processors. Okay, now you see, not one process, multiple processor. He has not given about multiple processors, so we assume that the number of multiple processors are, for example, we'll assume some r number of multiple processors. Okay, how many possible different schedules are there? Given the formula in terms of n and r. Yeah, here he has given r as processor number. Okay, and also he is giving that an example where you have to solve for n is equal to 5 processes, n is equal to 5 processes, and r is equal to 2 processors. Okay, so let me solve this problem. You able to see my board? Just a minute, I will share. Yeah, this is our third solution. So let me write with another color. So given n is equal to number of processes. Okay, and given r is equal to number of processors. Processors means CPU. Just I will give you an example. You see, suppose you have process P1, process P2, process P3, so on, Pn number of processes, and you have CPU1, okay, CPU2, so on, R number of CPUs, CPU R. Okay, so with the permutations and combination knowledge, okay, we know that if there are P processes and R number of resources and how to schedule them, the total number of schedules are given by, therefore total number of schedules is equal to NCR. Okay, I think you know the formula. What is NCR? NCR is nothing but n factorial by n minus r factorial into r factorial. Okay, let us solve the problem. The example he has given us, yeah, n is equal to 5 and r is equal to 2. So this implies we will get 5c2. So what is the value of 5c2? N factorial by n minus r factorial into r factorial. So this is 5 factorial by 3 factorial, 2 factorial. So I write this 5 into 4 into 3 factorial by 3 factorial. 2 factorial is nothing but 2 into 1. So this 3 factorial get cancelled. 2 ones are 2 twos are. So 5 is how much? 10 number of processes. So there are 10 number of possible schedules. Okay. So this is the solution. Do all of you understood this? Any questions?
This is constant for the ML table.
What is constant?
The formula.
Yeah, formula is constant. If you have more than one CPU, then NCR. R is number of processors. This constant. Qanun is this
Okay.
formula. Okay. So I just highlight it. This is the Qanun. Okay. So any questions up to here? Please ask me if you have any questions. No questions? Okay, let us clear. Good. So now let's go for this last problem, problem number 4. Now this is little tricky for you to understand. For a mainframe computer, write down the contention window data for the following PC. PC is nothing but a personal computer. Sequence number is given as assume mainframe also allocates 2 units of time to each PC. Contention window will follow the next higher sequence number after serving the allocated time, and it will complete the contents in circular fashion. Assume 4-bit contention window. Now he has given PC numbers and job size also. Now see, there are few things you need to understand in this problem. Let us observe the data. You see, he has given that assume that mainframe is allocating 2 units of time to each PC. This is first. So how many PCs are there? We don't know at this point of time, but every PC will get 2 units of time. Okay, that is given. Next is he's saying that you see the contention window follow the next higher sequence. Yeah, so the order of executing this PCs is every PC has some sequence number like this. You see, this PC has sequence number 2, this PC has sequence number 3, this PC has sequence number 8. So if 2 is finished, then next it will go for 3. If 3 is finished, it will go for 4. 4 is not there, it will go for 5. 5 is not there, it will go for 6. 6 is not there, it will go for 7. 7 is not there, it will go for 8. 8 is there, yeah, it will execute 8. Then it will go for 9. It means it is going in higher sequences. Okay. And it will complete the contention in circular fashion. Assume 4-bit contention window. So you have to understand two more things. First is 4-bit contention window, and he's saying that it is in circular fashion. What do you mean by 4-bit contention window? Now you just see 4-bit means you have 4-bit contention window for giving numbers to the PCs. 4-bit. So in 4-bit, what is the smallest number? you make all zeros. This is the smallest number in binary, correct? This will be 0. Then next number will be 0, 0, 0, 1. The next number will be 0, 0, 1, 0. So this is 1, this is 2. So on, it will go on till all numbers will become 1, 1, 1, 1. This is how much? F. F is nothing but here 15. Okay, correct? So all of you, is it clear? 4-bit contention window, meaning you have understood? Okay, great. So now, what is the meaning of circular fashion? Circular fashion means, you see, it is like a clock. Okay, you have PC 0, PC number 1, PC number 2, PC number 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. After 15, again it will start from 0. Okay, so this is circular fashion. Understood? So it means, suppose it is serving PC number 2. Okay, then next it will go in next higher sequence. So it will go for 3. After 3, what is next? 4. After 13, what is next? 14. After 14, what is next? 15. After 15, please tell me what is next? After 15. Yeah, it will not go to 16. It will go to 0 because it is a circular fashion. So remember this. So you see, he has given that it will go in forward direction, this direction only. Okay, sometimes doctor, what he will do is he will give that it will go, he will give this direction in reverse manner. Okay, so you should read the question and understand it. Okay, so the question is clear to you, all of you? Now after that, you see this table, please note down this table: 2 3 8 4 5 1. Just remember this because I will go and solve this problem. The table is having job size and PC number as 2 3 8 4 5 1. Okay, please note down this table in your notes. PC number is, I will also note down because when I go I cannot see this. So PC is 238 and job size is 451. Job size. Okay, so hope all of you have taken down. Now I am going to solve the problem. Okay, so this is our fourth solution. Okay, so he has given table per computer and job size. Personal computer is 02, 03 and 08, and he has given job size as 4 5 1. And one more thing he has given, note, what is that? Mainframe computer allocates two units of time to every PC. This is very important. Okay, this is very important. I think I got some message. Okay, so now let us solve. Okay, you see, it is a 4-bit contention window. So we have a 4-bit contention window 1, 2, 3, 4. Now tell me, is PC0 is present here in PC? No. So it will go for next higher number. 0 is not there. Then next is 1. 1 is there here? No. 2 is there here? Yeah, 2 is there. So this is 0, 0, 1, 0. This is 2, correct? So 2 will execute. How this 2 will execute? You see, you have this PC number. Okay, 0, 2 is having 4 units of time job size, and 0, 3 is having 5 units of job size, and 0, 8 is having 1 unit of job size. Okay, so now chance is given to first 2, but 2 job size is, but mainframe allocates only 2 units, so it will execute only 2 units of time. So remaining will be 2. Then it will go for next number 3. What is next number? 3. 0, 0, 1, 1. Okay, next number is 3. Okay, so when next number is 3, this is PC number 2. PC02 executing. Then PC03 is executing. Now it will also execute for 2 units of time. So from 5 units, 2 units are subtracted, remaining units are 3. Then afterwards it will go to 4. 4 is not there, 5 is not there, 6 is not there, 7 is not there, 8 is there, correct? So 8 means 1, 0, 0, 0. This is 8. Okay, so this is 8. But 8 has only one unit, it has finished. Okay, so it means this job is completed first, finish. Okay, now after 8 it will go to 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. You see, nothing is there. After 14 it will go to 15. After 15 it will go to 0, as you said, because it is a circular fashion. Again it will go to 0, 1, 2. Yeah, 2 is there. Okay, you see, is 2 is finished or not? 2 is not finished, so again 2 will come into the queue. 0, 0, 1, 0. Again 2 will execute, but this time 2 units, this is finished. Okay, so 2 is also finished. Then 3, chance will be given to 3. 0, 0, 1, 1. This is 3. But for 3, the remaining unit is 3. So 1 unit will be remaining. Then it will go for 8. But 8 is 4. 4 is not there. 5 is not there. 6 is not there. 7 is not there. 8 is there, but it is finished. So we will not execute it again. So go for 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. After 15, again you will start from 0, 1, 2. Yeah, 2 is there, but it is already finished. 3 is not finished. So again 3 will repeat here. 0, 0, 1, 1. Okay, this is 3 will execute again, and 3 is finished. You see, when all processes are finished, we will stop here. So when you stop, what is the binary sequence? This is the binary sequence. You see, this is the binary sequence we got. You see, all these are the sequences we got in binary. This is the solution. Okay, that you got 0, 0, 1, 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 1, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 1, 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, then 0, 0, 1, 1. Okay, so this is the solution for question number 4. Any questions?
Yes, Dr. Salman.
Yes.
About job size and
Yeah.
0. Initial we have 5, right?
Initial for 3 we have 5, correct. This is
Okay.
for job 3 we have 5 initially. Yeah.
After initial minus 2 we have
Yeah, minus 2. Yeah, so
Why?
5 minus 2 is 3.
Why minus 2? Constant minus 2.
Yeah, no, it is not constant. Why minus 2? Good question. Why minus 2? Because he has given in Sual that mainframe, you see, mainframe computer, okay, allocates 2 units of time. He has given
Okay,
2.
okay, thank you.
If he has given 3, then 5 minus 3 we will do. Okay?
Okay, clear, Doctor. Thank you.
Okay, great. Okay. So now I'll just take this as So let us see what is the next problem. So we have completed 4 problems. Let's go for okay, fifth problems. From fifth problem, it is a see, we have completed introduction and multi-programming. This is about deadlock, okay, which we'll see next week, inshallah. Okay, we'll complete the sheet next week. This is about deadlocks. What is deadlock and all I will cover in the next lecture. So, all of you, do you have any questions?
Doctor,
Yeah, please ask.
can you back last question and again
Okay.
speak again?
Okay. This one? Yeah. Yes. Ask me.
Yes, Doctor. Why 303 again 3 times?
Yeah, good question. You see, have you understood this all steps? Yes?
Yes, but
Okay.
zero
Yeah,
eight.
I got it. Yeah, I got it. You see, when first time 02 is executing, okay, its job size is how much? 4. Okay. So 4 minus 2 is 2, right? Then it will go for 3. Then 3 is executed. After 3 is executed, you see 3, 5 minus 2 is 3, correct? Then it will go for 8. 8 is only 1 unit of time, it has finished, no problem. But you see, after this is finished, who is remaining? 2 and 3 is remaining, correct? So that's why we go for 2. When you go for 2 second time, what happens? PC2 is finished completely, correct? But still PC3 is remaining, right? So when you execute second time, what happens? Still 1 is there, means PC3 is not finished, it has 1 unit of work remaining. So that's why in second term 03 is repeated, and in third term when you repeat it, that 1 unit of time is finished. Till all becomes 0, you have to complete it. Okay, suppose if you have 7 here, okay, 3 has 7. If you have 7 here, then one more time it will come. 3 will come one more time because its job size is bigger. It has to complete in 2 units of steps. Okay. So you
Okay.
see, summary. I will just tell you. Look, this is just for understanding. For PC2, okay, job size is how much? 4. But how much mainframe is giving? 2 units of time. Okay. So 4 by 2 you divide. How much you are getting? 2. You see, 2 times you will get 2. PC2 coming 2 times. Correct?
Yes.
Yeah. Now you see 3. 3 job size is 5. 5 by this 2 units of time. Okay. So this is giving you some 2.5. So you have to take upper seal. So it means it is 3. You see, it is coming 3 times. 1, 2, 3 times. Okay. Now you take process 8. It is only 1. 1 by 2 means it is 0.5. So if you take, it will come only one time. You see, it has come only one time, right? Understood?
Clear.
Yeah. But you have to find the order in the higher sequence numbers. That's all.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. But I need to write, please.
Yeah, yeah,
1
yeah.
minute.
Please, right. No problem. If you have finished, please give the answer. I have given one poll. What about others? If you have finished, please give me the answer in a polling. What about Badr Abdullah, Muhammad bin Saeed, Walid? Waiting for your answers.
Doctor, answer about what?
Yeah, I have given one question on the polling. You just click and read the question and give the answer. Do you understand today's lecture?
Oh, okay.
Okay. Okay, that's great, all of you. So wish you a good day, and inshallah we'll meet in next lecture next week from problem 5. If you have any questions, you can ask me now. If you have understood, good, and try to just before coming to next week, try to just read the theoretical slides and also the solutions what we have solved this week. And inshallah, we'll meet again next week. Okay. Thank you, all of you. Welcome.
Thanks, Doctor. Thanks.
Welcome.
Doctor,
Yes.
sorry, Doctor, but I have a question.
Okay. Yes.
Are you in a university? Because I have a problem in my program, UML.